Look, let's talk seriously here about the fact that nobody has disputed the Deagle document.
Right, the massive depopulation for the United States.
Yeah,
within like a couple of years.
yeah. They had from 2015 to 2025. It started with the United States with a population of 340 million, and by 2025 it was 99 million. There was no explanation for it. Canada was similar, 70% across the board, just about. Canada, United States, Western Europe, Australia, I think Mexico. There were a couple countries that went up a little bit, like China and India, I think, as you would expect. I think Brazil. But in the West, it was like pretty much a 70% cut of population. And when they pressed about what it was from, the document I read, and I don't know, there might be more than one document, but the document I read said that it was that they had two causes for it. One was a pandemic, and the second was a financial collapse. So I'm thinking, what the fuck does Deagle know that we don't know? You know, they're paid to know stuff that we don't know. They're like a think tank that helps military industrial complex type companies plan and budget for how many tanks and planes they're going to need to build, or how many bullets they're going to need to make for the coming years based on the sort of geopolitics and hotness of certain regions and stuff like that. So this is what Deagle does. They forecast this stuff for these companies, and the companies pay them a shitload of money so that they can get these forecasts and figure out how to manage the making widgets or bombs or whatever the fuck they're doing. So when Deagle says that the population is getting cut by 70%, I tend to sort of wonder, do they know something we don't know? Because they would be in a position to know. And seeing as we've got a acknowledgement in 2017 through this SPARS document of them planning something that is happening exactly as it was planned. Look, it's reasonable to think that this thing has been planned well in advance, because the Deagle document came out, I would imagine, just a little bit before 2015, right? Because it was predicting.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of, make sense for it to come out in 2016 and be purchased, you know. So I think it came out like 2014 or something like that.
Now, speaking of things like
certain
planned and predicted in advance, have you heard of the Fourth Turning, written in 1997 by Neil Howe and William Strauss?
No.
Okay, I came across this article. Apparently they wrote this book in 1997 that proposes a theory that America sees a turning every 20 years as one generation displaces another, and this dynamic between the two creates a crisis every 80 years. Each crisis is marked by 4 stages: a catalyst event that sets the wheel in motion, a regeneracy in which people stop tolerating weakening institutions and splintering culture, a climax that shakes society to its roots, transforms institutions, and redirects purpose, and a resolution that sees the economy entirely restructured for a new set of circumstances. It says, during the climax, they wrote, the economy would reach a trough that may look like the start of a depression. The stock market crash of 2020 was the sharpest and deepest since the 1930s. The economy will recover, per the theory, but it will fundamentally change after this period. The fourth turning boomers are likely to occupy the vortex of a downward economic spiral, and the truth will dawn on old boomers that the money simply won't be there to support their accustomed consumption, and it predicted millennials will come out with a brighter future as they come to embody the new American mainstream. Now, doesn't that sound like one of those scripted plan things?
Yeah, man. Wow. That's yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So they planned all this shit way ahead. They have to.
yeah. Yeah. So what's the reason? So we have to think then, what's the reasoning for wanting to get rid of 70% of the population? Are they uh, are we the useless eaters that Henry Kissinger has fantasized about getting rid of, and to be replaced by robots and drones?
I think that's it. I think it's more easily controlled population. You know, most of it's controlled by robots and drones, and you know, all our basic needs are provided by, you know, electronics and technology. Won't have to worry about people anymore, and less people would be easier to control. At least that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is. What do you think about it, Cory?
Yeah, we're fucking doomed.
You
know?
I knew he was going to say that.
If I could go to the reasons, you know, I don't want to get banned off our unbannable channels. So,
yeah, well, I mean, the reasons are what we're trying to figure out, and it's beyond me to fathom some of these psychopathic reasons. But
well, I can tell you where they start. Over there. That's where they start. Trust me on that one.
Yeah, we've got a new. We're about to get into an economic collapse coming here that's really unavoidable. I mean, the way they've been trying to mask this thing for a while by printing up money out of thin air, it's just math. It gets to a point where it hyperinflates, and I think they want to. I think they want to hyperinflate it, create mass chaos, and then introduce a new digital dollar into the scene, and use that as a form of control, you know, and tie it to being compliant, you know.
I mean, I'll make an analogy to what's going on today to post-World War I Germany. They're doing to us exactly what they did to the fucking Germans. Exactly. It's the same script. They destroyed them socially. They destroyed them economically. They destroyed them down to the fiber of their being. They wanted being German to be a crime in and of itself. And that's exactly what is the direction we're going.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about all the new police shootings that they've been covering? We were talking about this the other day. It seems like they're seriously cherry picking a lot of these, you know, shooting cases to push the agenda of racial division and, you know, hate the cops and all this stuff. But we've had a rash of them in the past couple of weeks, like, I don't know, like 10 or so, all in different locations. You think they're trying to pop up this agenda again?
Yeah, don't you get the feeling that they love this? They're alternating. They keep going virus, race riot. We have to have virus in the winter. It's seasonal. So here's the script. Viruses in the winter when it makes sense for you to be really scared about viruses. And then riots in the summer, spring and summer when it's nice outside, you know, and so you can get outside and you can really burn late into the night, burn these places. So we're going to get more race riots this summer because that's fun. And it'll be fueled by, I mean, there's always a cop shooting a kid somewhere. So there's no end to that. And if there is an end to that, they can always fake it. Right? You know, they're not above doing that to keep you talking about race riots in between talking about climate change. Because remember, they said they're going to be talking a lot about climate change. So it's going to be, will race riots increase climate change? You know, something like that. They'll find a way to incorporate it together.
You think we're going to see a COVID uptick again in the fall? I have a feeling that we're not completely done seeing the COVID thing.
I think they know that people are fed up. Like, have you seen that video from Hyde Park in the UK from yesterday?
Yeah.
That was awesome. They were fucking hitting those cops with bottles and everything. They were not fucking around.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Oh yeah.
I just saw. I thought
it got rough.
marchers. I didn't see them throwing stuff at
Well,
cops.
part of the march, they had a little area in a park where they had like a couple people with guitars and like a drummer, and the band was kind of playing and someone was singing, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, like 20 cops just mobbed this fucking crowd and started grabbing people, and the crowd just fought back, straight up pushed them out of the park. It was beautiful.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, that's what we need to see more of.
Yeah, I don't like that cop energy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. You know, that wanting to escalate the situation. You know, I get it.
Because escalation is sometimes more efficient from from the cop perspective. Escalation is far more efficient.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I totally understand that. But it just whenever you do that to someone, there's a good chance that someone is now going to hate cops forever, you know, or for a long time, or have a negative opinion.
But cops are like victim. They have that victim mentality as it is, right? So they already are in that mentality, so it doesn't even phase them anymore because they're taught that everyone wants to get you from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most people just want the cops to like leave them alone. Like,
so yeah, totally. So one thing I want to point out in regards to this most recent shooting of the 13-year-old kid who had the gun, who threw it behind the fence. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So cops are defending this guy for shooting him because they said he only had a split second, and anybody would have done the same thing with the same circumstances. How would he know he threw the gun? Well, I went through that identical scenario where you had somebody with a weapon. They kill the person in the training scenario, and then they drop the weapon and start to walk away. That was the scenario. And if you shot him, you fucking failed, because you have to make that decision, that split second decision. You're held to a higher standard. So they keep saying, right? When it fits what they need to promote, they're held to a higher standard, but otherwise, no. But no, we went through that identical scenario. They dropped the gun, put the hands up. Do you shoot or not? That's the whole purpose. You've seen like they go into that shooting range where like the little dummies pop up and it's like an old lady and you don't shoot them, right? That's the whole point of that scenario training. Identically to what we've seen them promote as this is our training, they're now going to say, they're going to pretend like that doesn't exist because he shot this fucking kid. That incident was an identical training scenario that I went through. So for them to even try to say that he didn't have a choice in the split second is just bullshit propaganda.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. If you are running around with a gun as a kid, you are putting yourself in a position for bad things to happen. I get it. Some people live in really dangerous neighborhoods and they have to have protection. I can totally respect that and maybe understand it, but I'm just saying that, dude, if the more you have a gun with you, the more tempted you are to use it. And if you've got a gun with you and you make yourself a target, and these cops are maniacs out there, and yet you put yourself in a position to draw attention to yourself, dude, like, you also can't act surprised when you get shot, because these cops, a lot of them are fucking psychopaths, and they don't have a problem shooting you. So like, both parties are need to be responsible for this. Like, you need to understand, like, I'm not saying that it's right for cops to shoot these kids. I'm just saying you have to understand that it is a possibility and act accordingly. Like, don't go sticking your hands down your pants when a cop walks up to you because you look like you're going for a gun. That's common sense. Like, if you're doing shit like that and you get shot, it's kind of like, well, what did you expect, dummy? Don't do that. Don't, you threw a gun and then got shot. Yeah. According to Cory, the training says don't shoot him. Well, he shot him. I mean, well, maybe don't have a gun, maybe don't be running and throwing a gun. I mean, so it's like, it's not just total victimless crimes here. You know, I mean, a lot of times these cops that are involved in these shootings are involved with guys that are breaking the law currently. You know, they're in the process of breaking the law. And look, I'm not some like law purist. I'm a fucking half anarchist. You know, I don't like authority and shit like that. But I'm just saying that if you're doing something that you know is illegal, don't act surprised when the cops want to mess with you. You know what I mean? So it's like people need to take some responsibility for their own actions. But fuck the police. You know, I mean, I feel like there's two things that they could do right off the bat after we went through this whole summer in 2020, with the police being, you know, totally targeted for being maniacs and everything. Cancel the 1033 program that recycles in military grade firepower and equipment and things like that. 205 grenade launchers the police took from the military for what? Grenade launchers? Are you fucking kidding me? 80,000 assault weapons? I mean, listen, so we've got the cops, they're armed like they're military. And then we act surprised when they act like military, you know? So get rid of the 1033 program and stop that company from Israel that's there training them, because they're training them to escalate the situation, and they're creating a lot of these problems. Ever since they got involved with this shit, the police have been on shooting sprees. So we need to send people in there to train the police to de-escalate situations, not escalate them. I know, Cory, you said that it's like more efficient and everything, and it might be, but like,
well, I'm explaining that real quick. Like,
you come in like
if you didn't
hot,
take it,
as a cop, like you like the people don't, you know, the people get scared. They're not used to dealing with that shit. It's fucking terrifying. And it's like, it makes enemies of the police force. Like they need to change their vibe. And
the mentality is, I don't have time to fucking deal with you. You're going to do shit my way. And if you don't, I'm going to wrap you up and get this thing over with quick. And then I'm going to move on to my next call. And whether it's right or wrong or even legal or not is irrelevant.
And I recognize this. I want to say this. I recognize that cops deal with people all day long that are lying to them and hiding shit from them and being jerks to them. And I get it. Like it's you deal with assholes almost all day long. It's gotta be tough. But if you're the type of personality type that it gets triggered easily, like maybe it's just, you know, maybe that personality type shouldn't be doing the job, you know, because that's a job where, like, if you make a mistake, someone gets killed, you know? And so, but I do recognize though that the police deal with morons on a constant basis, the dumbest people doing the craziest shit you've ever seen. And some of it's quite funny, but I just would like, you remember the old police man in the day with the blue uniform and the blue hat who would like say,
Barney Fife,
let me change your tire. Like, those guys were loved and respected. And this version of the police are feared, and like, people are terrified of them. And I just feel like that's such a bad look. That's just such a police state mentality that could be fixed if somebody in a position of power decided that we should try and do things a little differently. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world. That's something to be, and we have a private prison industry on top of that. Like, that's horrible.
Yeah, we're a shit show. Like, America ended with Kennedy, and we have been just driving right into the fucking dirt ever since. Intentionally. 100% intentionally. These things that are being done, they're not being done by us to us. They're being done to us by a foreign entity, which has co-opted the entire fucking West.